Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Sorry, we are on Facebook and not on YouTube. We are having challenges with connecting to YouTube. So we are joined by a panel of guests. We have a panel who are going to discuss about technology and mental health. So I'm going to start with Selena, and then I go and just introduce yourself and where you work and why this is passionate to you.
Hi everyone, my name is Selena Lee and I'm dialing in from South Africa. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Zindi, which is a data science competition platform, and we're part of this project because we're really excited about the applications of machine learning, AI, and data science for issues like mental health. Thank you.
Crystal?
Hi everyone. My name is Bridget Nadine. I'm from Kenyatta University. I'm the president of Amazing Minds Africa KU chapter, and I'm happy to be here. I'm passionate about mental health because I have ever had mental health challenges, and many of my friends also have, so it's something close to my heart. Thank you.
Bernice?
Yeah, hi. My name is Bernice Nderitu, and I'm a practitioner, consultant, and researcher in mental health and psychosocial support. And I'm passionate about innovative solutions in mental health to help everybody to be able to access these services, especially using human-centered design.
And then Bernard?
Okay, thank you. My name is Bernard Ngeno. I'm the president of Amazing Minds Chuka chapter, and I'm passionate of advocating for mental health simply because there is no health without mental health. And that is why we are there working around sensitizing students on having mental health. We do various activities to ensure that we engage students to make sure that they get to know that there are various challenges and which have solutions when they follow the right channel. So we direct them to the wellness center, and we also give them options or possible solutions to the challenges they are going through. Yeah, I'm passionate of mental health. Thank you.
Geoffrey?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Geoffrey Kira, and the project manager at Basic Needs, Basic Rights. Apart from my background entails being a medical psychologist and a clinical researcher, I've done various studies on treatment-seeking opioid abusers and bipolar mood disorder. And I think at this platform, mental health is something that has been greatly, for ages, been overlooked. And as an organization, we try and bring about that awareness and sensitization on matters mental health and psychosocial disability. Yeah, and I think on this platform, I get to share more on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys. I'm going to start with Crystal and Bernard. You guys are students. What are some of the mental health issues that you face every day in your schooling?
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity, first of all. So after having worked in forum theater, because we work a lot with forum theater, which is a form of theater where we use theater to create awareness about mental health and also to help students find solutions by putting them in those situations. During that process, we come across very many different problems because we get a chance to tap into the psyche of the students. And let me just cover some of the things that keep recurring. The first thing that keeps coming up is academic pressure. Many students feel a lot of pressure to perform and to excel, and actually not just in the academics, but in life as a whole. there's a lot of pressure to be the best at everything, be the best in class, and have the best grades, the best of everything. And sometimes most of the time, this pressure also comes from home, because especially for those who have very authoritative parents, they face a lot of challenges because they have to perform all the time. And sometimes the parents don't want to understand the problems that they face in achieving those goals. Another thing that keeps coming up is relationships. Now, these relationships are not just peer-to-peer relationships, but they're also parent-to-student relationships and stuff like that. So we find a lot of people, as I've just mentioned, have a strained relationship with their parents. So they have a lot of trauma from their childhood that they don't know how to manifests itself in very many different ways. It could be in how they react to stress and how they manage things like anxiety. Because if you had a parent who never give you a chance to fully express yourself and to fully manage emotions like stress and anxiety, they end up manifesting themselves in very bad ways, and you don't know how to handle it. Also, when people are taken from high school setting and thrown into an environment where there's total freedom, total liberty to do anything you want, they find a really big challenge in managing things like romantic relationships. We don't really understand what it is we want. We don't understand what you're supposed to give. So people end up having a lot of struggles within themselves. And when things like breakups happen or conflicts in relationships, they don't know how to handle them. They simply don't. And this usually causes a lot of people to start doing things like drugs. Some even sadly commit suicide, and some even start having very toxic relationships when it comes to romance. And finally, because I believe that the problems that are in KU are similar to those in Chuka, the last thing is peer pressure. There's a lot of pressure from peers to be a specific way. You have to look some certain way to be cool, acceptable. You have to earn a certain amount. You know, like maybe your parents can only afford school fees and money for food, but you see your peers earning an extra 5,000 shillings a week. You don't know how to get those jobs. You've never done a job your whole life. You're just from high school. So you begin feeling like you're inadequate and you need to be like your friends. So in the end, you feel like you're out of place, or you do things to live up to those standards, and you end up hurting yourself because you don't really know how to manage all that. So yeah, I think I'll now let Ngeno speak, because I believe our problems are possibly the same. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
She has mentioned quite a number of things, but I'm thinking, do guys and girls have the same challenges in terms of schooling, or do guys have different challenges? You know.
Okay. Thank you for that question. In relation to gender, I want to say that in most cases, these people have the same problems, but at some point you may find that there are challenges that affect the male gender and do not apply when it comes to the female gender. And I want to say that all these problems are general. They affect each and every other person. And I want to say that it can affect any of them. Yes.
Okay.
Any other question? Yes.
Bernice, you're a psychologist and you have worked with students, and you are a lecturer. I think, is it in 2 university or 1? And you come across some of these cases. So I want you to speak about some of the challenges, like young people, especially in university. They've just come from high school. They're just from childhood. What are some of the challenges they face? And like from a psychologist's perspective, what should be done? You have muted yourself, Bernice. You're muted.
So I'm saying, I think I missed the last part of your question, but I think what you're asking about is challenges that young people have. And I feel like some of them have already been mentioned. I think a lot of times young people are not really prepared to transition into adulthood, you know. And so these are some of the challenges that, you know, like not knowing how to handle opposite sex relationships, for example, not knowing how to handle money, not knowing, you know, your there's all this freedom that you have when you first go into university, for example, but you don't really have no, you know, the responsibilities, you know, that you need to take care of yourself, you know, all the way from managing your time to managing your stress and things like that. So I think this is actually a place where you come from, for example, high school, where you're very, very structured, to university, where there's absolutely no structure. So learning how to manage yourself, your relationships, your money, everything about you going to class on time, all that stuff, peer pressure, for example. So those are some of the things that young people would possibly be facing, you know. But just generally talking about mental health issues with children as well. I think there was an authoritarian parenting style, which is like, you know, my way or the highway. You know, you have to do what I say without being explained to what it is that, you know, and why. There's also issues of abuse and so many other risk factors that usually come up when we're looking at the mental health of children and young people. So I don't know if I answered your question, Jennifer.
Did. And so when you're there, I know you're one of the, I think, most upward-looking psychologists I know around. And
thank you.
So I just want you to speak about how can technology be the in-between between mental health and a client who needs this help.
Okay. So first of all, when you look at mental health, I think it's good we all have the same understanding of what mental health is. So when you look at what, it's not just the absence of disease, for example, but it's also a state of well-being where you're able to cope with the normal stresses of life, where you're able to contribute to your community, and where you're able to achieve, you know, go to school or go to work and achieve your own abilities. So when you look at what mental health is and where the bridge is between mental health and technology, I think we already have a lot of things that exist. Okay, so we already have things like online counseling. We have apps, applications. For example, in Kenya, we have Inuka, which is very affordable to a lot of people. It's 600 bob. So we already have platforms that bridge the divide between you know, mental health and technology. But there's also other things or other, let me call them, it's called behavior informatics, which is actually in the pipeline right now, where there's a lot of research on how we can look at people's behavior and capture some of that information and use it for prevention, use it for diagnostics, and use it for management of mental health issues. And so this is, I know, is something that's being researched right now, of where, you know, how can we, okay, I wouldn't say like completely do away with a mental health professional, but I think there's a lot of research around that line of where how can we help monitor people's behavior. So for example, when you look at your smartphone, it can monitor your sleep patterns. You know, it can tell you how much you sleep, how much you wake up, what your body cycle is, for example. That's just one way of managing, because when you look at mental health issues, sleep is a huge thing. You know, if you're struggling with clinical depression, for example, you know, you either sleep too much or you sleep too little, or you wake up really early, can't go back to sleep, etc., etc. So I think if we look at the divide or the bridge, there's a lot that's already out there that we can use, including our own phones, but there's also more that we can do to kind of improve on how we can manage our behavior and kind of help us to have behaviors that protect our mental health.
Thank you, Bernice. So I want to bring in Selina in here. Selina, she is a guru in artificial intelligence, and artificial intelligence is one of the new technologies that is that is going to, if it's not already impacting the way we are doing our things, it's going to impact the way we are going to do our things. And mental health is one of those ways. So Selena, I want you to come in and just to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence and how is it different from other technologies, and then how is it going to impact mental health?
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much. So I know that there's a lot of buzzwords floating around about artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and it can be quite intimidating. But I think that at the end of the day, what artificial intelligence is trying to do or is trying to say is that what we're doing is creating, I guess, programs or allowing machines or computers to mimic the way that humans learn. So it's not just purely telling a computer program if this happens and this happens, but it's actually saying there's a lot of data around us. Just the way a human would learn, we take in a lot of data points, even things that we don't even notice, in order to make certain decisions or in order to continue to learn and understand the environment around us. So what we're saying with artificial intelligence, and machine learning is a big portion of what artificial intelligence is that we are taking in information, taking in the data, and then we're helping the computers to draw conclusions about the data around them without actually telling them what decision to make. So let me just give an example. And the thing is that we're surrounded with artificial intelligence every day. We may not even realize it. Even in our smartphones, the predictive text is artificial intelligence. Every time we use Google Maps to get from one point to another, that's also artificial intelligence. So to give an example, one of the competitions that we ran on Zindi, which is a machine learning challenge that was for a startup company in Kenya that does deliveries called Sendi. They wanted to use machine learning in order to get more accurate predictions of how long a delivery would take from point A to point B. And so what you all know about in Nairobi is that it's not just about the distance, because traffic is the major factor in terms of how long it'll actually take to deliver a package. It's not really the distance. So in a non-artificial intelligence way, you might just say, okay, this is 5 kilometers, so 5 kilometers times this much time per kilometer. Okay, this is the delivery time. That would be a solution that doesn't use machine learning. But what they did is they used a whole year's worth of delivery data, taking into consideration everything from the weather to who was the driver to what time of day it was, what day of the week it was, all of these things to build predictive models. So essentially machine learning is just a predictive model to more accurately say, well, how long will the delivery actually take? Not just based on one factor, but on many, many different factors that you might not even realize. So that kind of in a nutshell is what machine learning and artificial intelligence allows us to do. So in the context of mental health, we're very excited about some of the applications that we've been exploring. One of the early applications that we developed, also with actually a research organization called Busara in Kenya, was so they had a whole data set of surveys that they did with women who were living in rural areas that assessed in a very complex. Some of you are probably familiar with, the psychometrics that go into assessing whether or not someone is suffering from depression. It's a very complex, set of questions and way to calculate it. So it's not something that any person would just be able to ask these questions necessarily. So they did a survey that included the entire psychometric, set of surveys, along with a bunch of other questions that just ask basic questions about, how old are you? What type of house do you live in? Are you divorced or married? How many kids do you have? What's your income like? And so what we did with them is develop a machine learning model that could take in some basic intake type of questions, but then give a prediction of how likely or what is the risk level or the chances that this person might be suffering from depression. So it's not a diagnostic in any kind of way, but you can imagine that for example, if you have very rural communities where there's not doctors present to be able to assess everybody in the community, this might be a way that someone who is not trained but is a outreach worker in some way could take in 10 different questions and say, okay, this person is, is high risk, medium risk, low risk. Maybe I should escalate some of these cases or spend more time with this person to explore this more. So it's a way to more efficiently deploy the resources that you do have and be able to funnel the people who need the support to the support that they need more efficiently. So that's the way that machine learning goes in, can play a part in this. Maybe I'll just pause. Okay, let me just give a couple of other examples of where mental health can be supported with AI. I mean, obviously, chatbots is something that that we're going to explore, and we can talk more about. I think there's other applications like computer vision where people are maybe identifying. I'm sorry, this is health in general, but just to say, there's other areas of AI like computer vision, natural language processing. So I think the possibilities are endless, and we're just starting to scratch the surface and explore.
Thank you so much, Selena. Geoffrey, I want you to come in and talk about basic rights and what you guys do on mental health and why you think technology can bridge the issue between mental health and technology. How do you see the bridge between the two?
Okay, I think I'd begin with Basic Needs, Basic Rights is a non-governmental organization that deals with matters mental health and psychosocial disability and epilepsy. So we try to bring advocacy, evidence-based approach in all our implementation and activities we carry out on the theme mental health, psychosocial disability, and epilepsy. Let me say we are currently involved in different counties at different levels. We are at health facilities, we are at the community level, we are at the universities, and even the primary and secondary school level of education. And why we currently, let me say this program is one of the programs that we are enrolling on mental health and well-being in higher education, where we are trying to bring about improving psychosocial services, increasing access to psychosocial services amongst the university students. And currently we are working with 2 universities, which is Chuka University and Kenyatta University. And technology leverage is one of the components that we feel is very important. It's an aspect that we try to see. We are trying to let me say mainstream. The challenges we're facing in mental health currently in Kenya or society in general is there's so much stigma around it. There's so much there's the inaccessibility to the psychosocial services when students usually or generally the general population have the need for such. And we are trying to use now technology to sort of break that barrier. And we feel like the current population, let me say Kenya is a very youthful nation, and that's on a general scope. So in the current program, in the 2 universities, we've already approached matters capacity building of the student counselors, capacity building of the peer leaders, capacity building of even the general university staff. But we feel like that's not enough to really reach the persons who really need these services. So that's why we're bringing about the matters technology, how we can use technology to increase access to these psychosocial services. And while we're thinking about AI, I think Selena has mentioned it so well. It's able to provide services that at that point of need, let me say it's able to provide services at the point of need. Maybe this is something that encapsulates around mental health first aid. Many a times we've heard of cases at the university where students are high on substance use. Students are high on, let me say, GBV cases. We've had cases of students who commit suicide, and most of the times it's not because they didn't have. It's not because they wanted to, but it's because they didn't have solutions at the time of the crisis. They didn't have that. Let me say that level of aid at the time when they needed it most. Say help delayed at this point is help denied. So what this approach helps us do is increase accessibility in the sense that currently 90% of the population or in the urban settings have smartphones. And I think when you approach it in that sense and bring about artificial intelligence in developing, let me say, what the telehealth practitioners usually do, it's a big boost in increasing that accessibility of these psychosocial services that the students might need at the time of crisis. That's why we thought about using now technology to leverage for behavior change, because I think it's very effective. It will be very effective, and studies have been done on AI and mental health, and have shown remarkable levels of results. Studies on AI and schizophrenia cases, depression cases, substance use, and that's what we want to incorporate now moving forward. I think it's the right time to actually try and think how we might make use of these smartphones that we carry along every day, because it can either make you or it can either destroy you. So that's why you want to bring about now the aspect of using technology to just leverage for that positive well-being and the mental health state of the university population, and generally even the youthful population eventually.
Crystal and Bernard, we students, we use a lot of gadgets. How have you used gadgets to improve your mental well-being? Like, I'll start with Bernard. Do you use your phone, or do you go to the internet? But how do you use it?
Okay, thank you for that question. Every other time I'm on my gadget, I walk around with it, and most of the time it's the thing that gives me the information right there whenever I am in need. So I think I personally nowadays I maybe I can't work without that gadget, and I think it is very essential. And every other time I need information, I just key in, I just log into the website and retrieve any kind of information that I may be in need of. I do visit various websites, including the YouTubes, whenever I have some free time, and also when I am maybe I'm having some, maybe I'm tired, I just key into the social networks, check some things that I can watch. Maybe I can converse with my friends, and that's what I normally do. So in other words, I can't maybe do without it, because sometimes when I feel like I need to talk to someone who is far from me, I can really use that one, the gadget. At times also, when I need very crucial information, maybe on over something, over a matter, I just go to Google and get the kind of information that I need, even if it's some private information, because I don't really have to talk to someone directly. But the gadget can really give me that platform to ask any kind of question privately and in a confidential manner, and I get the information that I need. Yeah.
Crystal?
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, just as Nyano said, your smartphone is basically your best friend, your personal assistant, and it's really important to find ways to use that fact to help your mental health. So personally, I use my smartphone to connect with my friends. In Amazing Minds, you have a system known as the buddy group system, and this is a group of 10 people who give each other emotional support and any other form of support that friends would need in a bit of a controlled environment. So anytime I'm feeling really lonely, I know that I can easily go into WhatsApp and contact my peers in the buddy group, or any other, or my best friend. I know that I can give her a call or a text if I need her. Apart from that, there are also various applications that I use. There's okay, the name is slipping, but there are meditation apps that you can use to help you calm down. I also download exercise videos because I really enjoy doing exercise. And I find that it calms me down and helps me balance out my emotions, and it helps me sleep better. I also subscribe to YouTube channels that I feel help enrich my mind and help me have more resilience in dealing with life stresses. I frequent School of Life, Academy of Ideas, and Enzel Ganga. And all these YouTube channels provide entertainment and also help me learn very many things. And I frequently share with my peers in the buddy group. Also, I also use my smartphone definitely to have a good laugh. When you're feeling down and maybe you don't really feel like watching a sitcom or something like that, you can just go and again go into YouTube and watch something that will make you laugh. And I do that a lot of the time. Or I know certain people who have really amusing statuses, I just watch. But I understand that a lot of the time technology can draw you away from proper mental health. So most of the time when I'm really, really feeling down and I feel disconnected with life, I prefer talking to my friends. And as Ngeno said, the phone makes you come closer to your friends. And I think that's something really important for all of us to note, because it's okay. Although yes, I really advocate for watching videos or reading books or having a good workout, it's always good to try and make sure that you're not practicing too much escapism, and try to draw yourself into the world more by connecting with people. Yeah. So when I can't meet with my friends, give them a call, text them, and have a good chat. Yeah.
Thank you, Crystal. Bunnies, you've heard what they're saying. They Google, they go search, they have buddy friends. So I want you to talk a little bit before Selena comes in and talks about the solution, the challenge rather. So that's the fact that young people are already using technology to access mental health. And what are the challenges if that solution or whatever they're going to Google is not informed scientifically, like what Selena is going to talk about? So what are the challenges of me Googling because I'm having a headache, or I just had bad exams, I did not pass? I just go, what do you do when you have failed exams? And voila, I don't know, they tell me go jump 5 times and it's not working. So what's like, how can we be able to moderate technology, that form of technology, and make sure that people are actually accessing good content?
Okay, yeah, thank you for your question. I think that's really great. I think Crystal and Bernard have mentioned some of the ways that young people engage in, which is really wonderful, like the online. Crystal, I really like the idea of the support group. I think that's one of the big protective factors which help you maintain a very good mental hygiene. And of course also like YouTube, and there's a lot of information out there. But the thing about Google and YouTube is you don't know what information is correct and what is not correct. So there could also be misinformation out there. And if you are a layperson, you're not a professional, you are not aware of which information is correct and which information is incorrect. And so you consume it fully and wholly and take it 100%. And that could also be harmful as well. I've had people come to me and they've already self-diagnosed. They're like, I know it, I have bipolar, and then I do an assessment on them and I'm like, no, this is not actually what's going on, it's something else. So I think it's a common problem with all health providers, including medical doctors, where a lot of patients will go out to Google and Google the symptoms and already decide what they have and then self-medicate or self-treat. So of course they're dangerous with that because you're not exactly sure what's going on with you. But I think such platforms are good for psychoeducation or getting in more information about an issue when you have the right website or the right platforms that show you and give you that information. So yes, misinformation is one of the biggest problems that we have, and self-diagnosis, is also another problem, and trying to self-manage or self-medicate. And I think also when it depends on severity. So for example, if you just are feeling a little stressed or a little anxious, you know, meditations apps are really great. They really help you to relax, you know. But if you are, for example, are having a psychotic break where you're seeing hallucinations and delusions, you know, then you're not even in a state to seek out some of these services, for example, or you are having a depressive episode where you're clinically depressed and you're just not sure what's going on with you. You don't even have the energy. So I think a lot of times it's good to note that some of these platforms are good and helpful, but at a certain stage, you know, they're good in preventing, they're good in informing. But once you get to like a moderate and severe stages of mental health issues, then you would probably need some other kind of intervention that's a bit more specific to you and a bit more professional.
Thank you, Bernice. Selena, I want you to talk about the challenge. And actually, I think Bernice has already spoken to one of the solutions that you are getting into, because I think one of the things that we want to be able to do with this platform is to help young people to be able to get fast help of some of the challenges. Selena, I know you have some presentation that you want to present. So you can go, let me enable your screen. So you can be able to go ahead and a presentation about this platform.
Okay. So sorry about this.
Screen, like just full screen, just put full screen, like presentation, it will go.
Okay, sure. So maybe I can take a step back and introduce Zindi. I mentioned it, very briefly earlier, but Zindi is a startup company, but it's actually a social enterprise. Our goal is to develop the entire ecosystem of data science in Africa. We see a lot of opportunities in making AI and data science something that's more accessible and to the benefit of everyone. Not just a few companies and not just a few expert data scientists. This is really a field that we want to see all young Africans to be able to have the opportunity, if they want, to upskill in this space, to find job opportunities in this space, to showcase their abilities. And we also think that from the organizational side, there's organizations across Africa that have data and that are not really able to extract the full value of it through things like machine learning and data science and AI, because they don't necessarily have the skills in-house or even connections with the data scientists that are out there. So what we've done is create a platform and create a space on Zindi for the young data scientists across Africa to hone their skills on real life problems, real life data sets, to profile of what they're capable of, and then finally to make connections with companies and organizations that need them. And then on the other hand, organizations across Africa that are looking for data science solutions can come to Zindi and basically put their data sets out there and invite the community of, now we have over 13,000 data scientists on the platform. So they invite the community to compete to solve their challenges. So that's basically how Zindi works. And let me just, I was going to give some examples of the types of challenges that we've run, but you can visit the site. It's at zindi.africa. And we've run challenges for a lot of different types of sectors, from mental health to conservation, to to business challenges. And we also, and we run different types of technologies like computer vision, natural language processing, and predictive analytics, forecasting, different types of applications of machine learning. So getting into this, I like what Bernice was saying about how, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of possibilities of misdiagnosing, mistreating through the internet. And I want to say that where I think that AI is adding value in this space is that we have to be very careful, and we have to, I think at this point, AI is not at the point where it can replace a human or a trained doctor to diagnose properly, to treat properly. I think there's certain fields in this space, like including health and especially mental health, where it could be very dangerous to just start to trust a bot or a AI system to replace a human. So I want to say that, and also even as Crystal was saying, calling a friend is probably the best, or is something that helps a lot. And so a computer will never replace your friend. So that being said, I think that we have to be very careful about where AI fits into this entire space. And where I think can very tangibly fit into the space is to create more accessibility and efficiency in the way that we get people the treatment that they need. So what we've done with BNBR for this project is design a challenge that we can put on Zindi and invite our community of data scientists to solve. And the challenge that we are doing is thinking about if we wanted to create a bot, so leveraging the accessibility of a smartphone, making support as easy as basically at the touch of a finger, because everyone has their phone with them at all times. So can we leverage the accessibility of smartphones to get people the support that they need? Can we use AI to make the interface more easy to use, make it so that we are more efficiently directing people to the right places, and then interacting with them in a way that gets them the support that they need. Ultimately, if they need a human and a doctor, we can get them to a human and a doctor, and get the right people the right support. So what we've done is design a challenge where we have statements and questions that actual students have expressed around 4 different types of mental health challenges that are very common with students. So that's depression, suicide, alcohol, and drug abuse. So we have 4 different types of categories of challenges that people have, and with the idea that the response to each of those is distinct. The follow-on questions that a doctor would ask are distinct. The type of support that they would need is distinct. So can we design an AI algorithm to take in the statements that a student says and properly or more accurately categorize them along what are the 4 challenges that they have. So this goes back to what I was saying earlier, that a non-machine learning solution might be to ask them, are you depressed? Yes or no? And people might say yes, people might say no. And if that was the only criteria that you had, people might be misclassified. Either there might be people who are suffering from depression who get categorized as, well, they said no, they're not depressed, so let's not follow on with them. And some people who say yes, but they actually are not depressed. So you might be following on with the wrong people. So what we wanted to do, and this is just a proof of concept, so I just want to stress that we don't have enough data to say definitively we're going to solve this right now, but this is a proof of concept. About 500 statements or actually more, like 1,000 statements that students have made, and we have already categorized them along the different mental health challenges. So we're asking data scientists to build an algorithm to take in statements, words that they say, I'm not feeling well because, my uncle died and he was taking care of me. That's a statement. And that for a human, it's easy to say, well, this person might be suffering from depression. They might be sad. They sound like they're down. Can we train a computer to say that this is possible depression? Maybe we need to follow on with some more questions to explore possible depression here in this case. Someone else might say, is life worth living? That's an actual statement that we have there. That might be suicide, but so can we train a computer, even though the word suicide is not used, can we train a computer to recognize, okay, this is possible suicide, now let's follow on with the possible questions and direct them to the right support. So this is essentially, it might sound simple, this is essentially the challenge that we put out there, but it's actually quite complex. So we're actually giving our data scientists 2 months to work on this. We've put the data set out there of all the different statements, all the different categories. And right now, we launched it yesterday morning. We have, I think, almost 100 people who've registered. We probably can expect hundreds of people to register and throw their hat in the ring to try to build this algorithm. And what this can lead to then is hopefully feed into a proof of concept or a prototype of a chatbot where the chatbot would ask a student, what's on your mind? What are, can I help you with something? And then they write in whatever they're thinking about, and then we can classify what type of challenges they might be facing. Let me pause there and see if there's any questions. And actually, Jennifer, I actually have a screenshot, so let me just show the screen. This is what the challenge looks like online.
Yes. I'm looking for.
Jennifer?
Looking for the link. I posted on Facebook so that people can register. So
yes.
As you're talking, Geoffrey, I want you to come in and maybe probably talk a little bit about this challenge and what are the outcomes? What are the outcomes that as basic rights? I was hoping Nera would be on this call, so because she had some very amazing ideas. But Geoffrey, probably you can be able to talk. What are the outcomes? What do you want to achieve with this particular solution?
Yes, I think I'll begin with the key outcome for us would be the increased accessibility to psychosocial services, because that has been one of the leading causes of decline in mental health state in the country. And currently, after our inception year of rollout in the university, we noticed that most of the times guys have these mental health challenges, but they really don't know how to access them, how to access the solutions to these mental health challenges. So now we hope that by the end of this great initiative, we're able to achieve increased accessibility. And the other thing would be this platform, the end goal would, is also the increase in research, let me say evidence-based approach. Will have data, because the solution will be able to track the prevalence of the cases in the universities. We'll be able to track the various causes, the working solutions, the don'ts, the do's. So this will help us also enlighten us with regards to the approach that we will be taking moving forward with regards to what works in the mental health space, in the youth mental health space, and what doesn't work in the youth mental health space. Yeah.
Thank you, Geoffrey. Thank you, guys. I think we had 1 hour, and any last Bernard and Crystal. Where is Crystal? Is Crystal around or she left? Crystal? Okay.
I'm around.
Okay, you've heard what Bernice and Ben and Geoffrey and Selena have said about these solutions. How do you think it's going to help you? Because I think you're from Chuka and Yeno is from KU, or the other way around. So how do you think the solution is going to help you?
Okay, for me from KU, I tend to believe that this initiative is generally just going to help people have easier access to mental health help. It's going to help people assess themselves better, because we've been told that there's a lot of misinformation online and stuff like that. So an initiative like this is going to help young people who still do not know a lot about mental health identify what exactly is bothering them, give them more incentive to go and look for help, because that's also another major challenge. And it's also going to help them find ways of expressing what they're feeling more, I hope. Because a lot of the time, we don't really know what it is we're feeling. We don't know how to ask for help. We don't know where to go. We don't know what to say. But I hope that with all this, we're going to be able to empower the youth to express themselves better and to find help faster and in a more accessible, and let help be more accessible. So yeah, I believe it's something that's going to push the mental health narrative in the right direction. And I'm really excited. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. On my side, yes, on my side, I think Geoffrey has talked about the ratio of the people in the wellness center to the number of students. Bringing this on board using technology, I think it will help a great deal, because sometimes you find that the number of people or counselors who are serving there may not really be enough to serve the number of the students who are struggling with various issues. So I think with this one coming in, a number of students will get help from wherever they are. We also have the time factor. Sometimes it is tedious to go there, sit, wait until your time comes so that you are served. But with the use of technology, you just key in anytime. You're not limited. You just access the information that you want right there and then. Yeah, I think it will help a great deal. Thank you.
Selina, are you able to share the link? Probably there are people who are joining us and they don't have a link, and I think I have a couple of questions. Are you able to share the link? Just screen share,
Sure, it's there on the, okay, can I put it in the chat?
Yes. Now, are you able to, do you have it somewhere, people can be able to go who are watching us and they don't have, or if you're on Facebook, you can click it on the video and put it in the video link.
Jennifer, I shared it on the chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you already shared it on the chat. So there are a couple of questions. Selina, I think most of them are towards you. Oh, there's a question for you here from someone from CBM. And the question is, what can CBM, the people who are supporting this initiative, and other similar organizations to do to support enhancing the role of technology in mental health? I think that goes to both Bernice and Selina.
Yeah, I mean, so CBM is the organization that is supporting this project, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a great first step. This is fantastic. I mean, this is a way to, get a quick test the waters and a quick proof of concept to see how this chatbot can work. There's going to be a lot of next steps. I mean, aside from after this, we'll prototype for the app. Then we have to basically, keep improving the app. So with machine learning and AI, it needs more and more data. So as we test the app, we're getting more and more data in, and so we'll have to keep improving, the technology that runs this chatbot. So, and there's a lot of, this is just the first step. I think that there's a lot of more steps that can be done to improve the final product. So I think that's one way that it would be nice to see what other supports can be put towards the final product, or continuing this product. And I think that there's other applications of technology that are worth exploring. We can use this as a first test of how can technology help, and then we can also explore other applications of technology towards mental health.
Bernice.
All right. Yeah. So I think I'm actually very excited that we are having such a conversation, because, like we've said already, to make mental health services accessible and available. I think I don't know CBM, so I'll just speak in general about what organizations can do. And I think a lot of organizations can collaborate in terms of sharing their data. For example, I know there's a lot of different organizations which are doing something, but nobody knows about what the other is doing, or they've done research and this research is not available in open access or is not published, for example. So I think this is one of the very key areas that organizations can do to support or to enhance the technology in mental health, is to share information and publish information or share it in some open access platform. I also think it's just collaboration. Organizations collaborating with each other, in terms of, I mean, it's pretty costly. I'm sure Celine will tell you it's pretty costly to do these kind of innovative solutions. And I think, big, small organizations just collaborating in any type of resources will also be very, very helpful. And thirdly, also just keeping an open mind. I know a lot of times when we look at, especially in our context in Africa, we are a young population, like Jeffrey mentioned, but we also have people who are not very open to using technology and who do prefer face-to-face and who do have a more traditional way of looking at this. So I think it's just also just being very open-minded to investing in research and development and just innovative solutions. Jenny?
Yeah, there's a question here. Someone is concerned about privacy and copyright of these platforms, and which is understandable, and the possibility that that people might avoid them and because of stigma and stuff like that, mental health stigma.
Okay, I cannot answer the privacy question. I feel that's kind of technical and out of my expertise. But I think these platforms exist especially for those who are afraid of being stigmatized. For example, I do have a practice and people are afraid of even walking to the practice or even saying where they're going because of the stigma that comes with seeking out mental health services. And so I think actually technology is gonna bridge that divide of stigma. But when it comes to privacy, I'm not sure that's actually a concern of mine, which I think will probably need to be addressed by AI experts.
If I may add onto that, I personally feel the privacy bit is something that this approach will help will help enhance, because I think Bernice has mentioned there's so much stigma with someone knowing that I'm going to the wellness center. Guys will see me walking in the wellness center building. Guys will see me entering a counseling room, seeing a mental health practitioner or a shrink, the way they call it. And the stigma that is associated with that is so immense that students know there is psychosocial services offered at the center, but they don't really tend to take the lead and going to seek those services. And I think it's one of those challenges that I've had in the various inception interviews in the program, and you get students saying, yes, we know there's the wellness center, but the confidentiality, how am I assured that what I share with the counselors at the centers, that it won't spread around the whole of that building, so that everyone now will be labeling me like that guy, has this issue or that issue. So I think with the technology, it will help us sort of normalize that. I mentioned the aspect of mental health first aid. So what this approach will do is the concept, the thought process around, oh, it's okay to talk about this, it's okay to share this, and I think it creates that platform for normalization. And I like using the word mainstreaming, because I feel personally that if we are to tackle stigma, then we have to engage ourselves in anti-stigma approach, where we now talk of normalizing the whole approach. We don't by trying to remain let me say, by trying to avoid talking about some aspects, then in real sense we are enhancing that stigma. So with this approach, bringing the technology on the online, on the psychosocial services on the smartphones, we are trying to tell the population that mental health is just it's just an illness like any other, and you seeking the services the same way they seek the services for the other for the other conditions or other disorders through the phone is the same way you can seek for your mental health, well-being, and fitness. The same way you can use your phone to say, I want to get fit, I want to lose this amount of calories, I want to track the body cycles. That's the same way you're trying to say. With mental health, it can't be the same, but I understand the challenges that come with regards to it can't replace the human therapist, and that's one important element that I think Selena has talked about. This using technology at this bit, it's about enhancing the work of the therapist. If the therapists work hand in hand with the solution that will come out of this hackathon, then it will only go about increasing the impact, increasing the levels of psychosocial services or the interventions, the brief interventions in the population and in the university, and this in turn will lead to lower prevalence of mental health cases that could it be addressed given the current different circumstances, and I think that the privacy bit is also will also be somehow tackled if you look it in that perspective. I don't know if that's clear.
Geoffrey, as you're talking, Selena mentioned about CBM, and I just remembered we did not say who they are. Are you able to say who they are? I know they are following us on different platforms and they are sending questions. So just mention and give them a shout out for the amazing job they're doing.
Of course, I wouldn't allow us to end this webinar without mentioning our able partners, CBM, who our implementing partners. They help us in capacity building. They help us in the implementation of this program. And CBM actually stands for Christian Blind Mission. It's an NG. It's international, but it's an international organization that focuses on matters disability and creating advocacy around the field of disability. So we are partnering with them in this program to try and bring about the psychosocial support, the advocacy on psychosocial disability, and they're very, very, let me say, they're very integral part of this program. And we couldn't be able to achieve it without CBM. And of course, our able funders from Spain, New Sims, who also, let me say, they're both sets of partners that are really, really, they're really instrumental in how we're going about this program. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. I know we have passed our 1 hour, but thank you. And thank you for your patience. I don't know what happened to YouTube. I'm going to investigate immediately after this. And thank you for all the guys who are watching us live on Facebook, all the 20 of you. Thank you so much. And those ones who are going to watch us after this. Thank you to Crystal. Thank you to Bernard. Thank you, Selena. I know you're a busy, busy woman. Bunny, see you in a while. Geoffrey, thank you so much. And God bless you. For those who are watching, we are going at midday for the Mtoto News at noon. We are going to be talking about mental health. So we are continuing this conversation in about 30 minutes. We're taking a break. And you're going to be talking about mental health of young people, of adolescents. And join us if you have any questions that are specific to mental health and your own mental well-being. Thank you so much, guys. And bye. See ya. Thank you. Bye. See you. See ya.